And I would also like to just continue putting your hands together in front of your screen for the yoga and meditation instructor joining us live from Canada, Jade Alexis. Jade, welcome to the room. So great to have you.
Thank you. Good to be here. I'm actually back from Canada. I'm now in New Jersey.
Oh wow! Welcome back.
Thank you.
How are you feeling today? How is inner Jade?
I'm doing well. I woke up and I saluted the sun, so I started the day off on the right foot. I'm doing well, thank you, and I'm happy to be here.
I'm so happy to be able to host you and interview you. I was looking forward to this the entire week. And this entire week for us as a team has been strenuous and exhausting and exciting. And I was not able to prepare for this conversation in the way that I would usually do. I was not able to share my notes with you. So we're doing this on the fly. But because you are an amazing teacher, practitioner, and because we have had an hour together where we talked about your life and how you learned to turn negatives into positives, I am just, I just feel honored and excited to spend the next few minutes in a big jazz song with you, improvising while we go ahead. And I know about you that you are an amazing yoga teacher. A lot of people join your sessions live online these days. They usually do in very, very high-class studios in New York City and the New York City area. And to understand how you actually discovered to train your mind, as we said in the topic, to train your mind for 2020, I would ask you to really start by taking us into your most negative, into the darkest place that you have had to cope with that brought you where you are today.
Such an intense place to begin. And even the fact that I can smile as I speak about it is very telling of the journey that I've come through, right? To come to this place where I can speak of my most darkest moment with a smile on my face. So my sister passed away about 10 years ago. It was a sudden, tragic passing, and my dad is here today, so it's extra emotional in this moment, but my sister passed away, and that was probably the worst moment of my life. And that's when I truly began my yoga and meditation journey. Simultaneously lost all of my money and some health. And I did not want to wake up in the morning. I did not want to go to sleep at night. If I did fall asleep, it was hard to wake up. I would struggle to go to work. I would miss work. But I somehow made it to my yoga classes, and I really got deep into my meditation practice. And that's when things started to turn around for me. It was on my yoga mat that I found peace. It was on my yoga mat that I found strength and courage. And that's the beautiful thing about yoga and meditation. It works for each of us exactly as we need it to. So whatever you need, it will find your weakest points. It will find what you need to strengthen, and it will make you stronger. And as I say in my classes, the stronger you are on your mat, the stronger you are off of your mat. And that means through asana, physical practice, and also in the meditation practice. So when my sister passed away, that was the darkest and the worst time of my life, and the birth of my yoga and meditation practice, which I'm very grateful for.
Jade, thank you for sharing this with us, and thank you also for inviting your family to join. That's the most pleasant surprise. Thank you for your dad to be here and join you on this conversation and this journey. And I would like to just pause for a moment here and just not say anything and take a moment of silence for everybody to reflect on what they have been through and what Jade has been through, and just to pause. So I invite you all for a moment of silence here on Remote Daily. thank you for joining me for this moment. And we have not done this before on Remote Daily. I hope we will include it more often. And I think Zoom is not the place where people sit in silence, but that's exactly why we do it. And I appreciate Jade so much for giving us this opportunity here by sharing what she has been through. And Jade, I mean, I became an Instagram fan of yours basically instantly after Deborah introduced us, because on your Instagram, and I'm just going to put that out there and try to fire up your Instagram for all of us here on the screen share, because as a father, what I see on your Instagram is just this pure love and connection with your daughter that happens in every single one of these videos. And to me, it's just amazing how you guys actually share your practice. I have never seen this with any yoga teacher. And because I have been a yoga student in New York, I follow some of them. I've never seen this before. And I think it's so powerful and so beautiful and so cool. And it's another thing, I guess you have to tell us about. How do you create these moments where your daughter also is really focused? She's focused on what you do. And here she even starts emulating, and she's starting her own yoga journey here next to you. How do you do that?
Thank you for sharing that video. It's making me smile. It's very simple. Children imitate their parents. So I just do me. I just practice yoga, and she just copies me. And I will say, during this coronavirus time, she spent more time around the yoga, right? Usually she's at daycare when I'm teaching. Now she's here when I'm teaching. So she's occupied now, but she'll pop in when I'm teaching a class, and she listens. She knows when it's the end of the class, and she'll run in to say the namaste. And she hears the words and the positivity and the blessings. And I just practice what I preach, and they imitate. And you know what the other thing is too? I don't tell her she needs to do this. I welcome her. She can join me if she likes. And see, she was in that video, she was off plane, and she just decided she wanted to join me. And it's very organic.
So amazing. I wish for us yoga students we would be there and get to that point. I have tried. I've done a lot of the kids yoga online with my daughter, and I'm always amazed by how accessible yoga is for any age group. But to see a teacher bond like that with their children, I think puts it to another level. And she actually, when you just said that, she does what you does. I saw her looking at you and then actually starting. So she's really taking this in. And I wonder now, how do you actually practice the negative into positive part? I mean, you're physically extremely strong. We all just saw that on video, but we also see it just, how you sit in front of the camera. But how do you practice the mind part of turning negative into positive? How does that work? How do you include that in your daily practice?
Okay, great question. So the negatives to positive has become a part of who I am. And a little bit more background on me in a short story. So after my sister passed away, I had to start training my mind then in that instant to find the positive, find the good in a really bad situation, okay? As hard as it was. And that's when this practice started. So maybe I wasn't able to find then in that moment the good in my sister passing, but at least I could look at it and think, that's happened and it's making me practice yoga. I'm practicing yoga, it's making me physically strong, it's making me mentally strong. So right now, if I couldn't think of anything else good from that situation, that was it. I was making myself stronger in some way, okay? And I feel like we're always building on top of ourselves. some way. After my sister passed, my brother became very sick. He had a kidney disease, which we discovered after my sister passed away. And he needed a new kidney. And I was in the midst of a horrible divorce. I was in an abusive marriage with a 14-month-old child, and I found the courage to leave. And in the midst of this divorce, I needed to give my brother a kidney, which I did. And when I tell this story, people ask, wow, how are you able to get through all those things simultaneously and still show up and teach a yoga class and look like nothing's going on? It's because I'm able to find the positive in every situation and just be in the moment. When I'm teaching class, I'm there teaching, trying to lift others up, right? I'm in the moment, not worried about everything else going on. And by the way, everything else going on, there's something good in it, and I find that. So this is a little bit of a funny story. About 6 months ago now, I was backing out of a parking spot, and I almost crashed into the car behind me, and I saw it just about to happen. And right in that instant when it was about to happen, in my mind, I thought, oh, this is great. I'm going to have to get a new car. I don't like this car anyways. And then I paused and I thought to myself, wow, before the bad thing really happened, I already saw the good in the situation. And that's how far I've come. So, Tommy, I see you appreciating that, many of you. So how did my mind get to that place? Because I wasn't always in that place. I have a short reading at some point I want to share with you. But also I started playing a game on a daily basis, the negatives to the positive. Anytime something negative would happen, I would turn it into positive. Something little, like I dropped something on the floor, my kitchen floor, and made a terrible mess. Positive. Great. You know what? I really wanted to order food from this Indian restaurant, so now I can order dinner because we like pasta dinner. Or now I have to really clean my floor. Great. My floor needed a good clean anyways. So instantly I started to find the good. I'm walking through New York City. I have my backpack. I have my groceries. I have all this stuff, and it's heavy, and I have to get all the way to New Jersey. You know what? This is great exercise. I didn't make it to the gym today. I'm getting stronger. And I just started to play the game throughout the day with myself. And eventually it just became natural. It was difficult in the beginning, and then it became natural and just a part of who I am.
I wish we all had more Jade Alexis in our lives, and just a Jade Alexis next to us every step we make, and say, hold on a second. This is actually great what's happening just now. Thank you. And I had to laugh because especially the car situation, it's so cool. It's just, yeah. And I also saw Tommy Tommy, do you need a new car? I mean, you know now what to do. So yeah, Long Island crowd is here right here with you, Jade. So, and you also turned this into teaching. And this is the last part I wanted to touch on before our exercise. So, I mean, you have figured this out for yourself in a way that almost is taking over your brain before you can actually activate it. So it's built in. You're about to crash into something. Your brain is like, oh, great, that's built in. That's way deep down there. And now you have started teaching this. You have developed a course called Your Truest, Strongest Self, and I think it's starting in November again. And on your link tree that we put in the chat here, people can sign up for this. It's a mix of yoga and meditation, but it also comes with journaling, which we'll dive into in a minute. But how did you turn this into teaching? I mean, it's very hard. It's one thing to do this for yourself, and you have been through a lot of grieving and moments for you to make this, to come up with this new life, and it's constant daily training that you put into this. But how can you teach people this in a confined environment in a short amount of time and make other people experience what you experience on a daily basis?
Great question. So my course, Discover Your Truest, Strongest Self, is exactly that. And I wanted to take my experiences and the tools and the techniques and everything I learned in my journey that made me my truest, strongest self and share those things with everyone. So I packaged it in 21 days. So 21 days, as many of you I'm sure know, is typically what it takes to create a new habit. So that's why it's 21 days. And those that have finished the course, maybe I wasn't able to help them train their mind to completely be where mine is right now. But if it's a little bit better, that much closer to getting it there. And really what the course does, it starts to shift your thinking and change your mindset. And the daily activities and journaling and reading give you the foundational tools to, first of all, find your truth and speak your truth. And with that in mind, why this is easy for me to truth, because this is something I'm passionate about, right? And I encourage within the 21 days for us all to find our passion, whether it's going to land in your professional life or your personal life. What is your passion? Why are you here? And how do we do it? Because that will help you live your truest self and be your strongest self. So they're just little tools and exercises and daily activities, because that's the thing, is doing these things on a daily basis. And that's in a nutshell. I'm just sharing my experiences and also just being a guide for those there. And sometimes people get stuck, and hopefully I have an answer, or maybe we can figure it out together, right? We are all constantly evolving, and we can evolve together.
Well, and you're being very humble here, Jade, because you know, and I just want to put this out there. You've been on Dr. Oz, Exercise TV, Good Morning America, CBS Early Show. You have been in magazines. You have been a brand ambassador for Reebok. I mean, you have been out there, and brands and companies and media have followed what you do for a number of years. And one more thing about students and how they perceive what you do. You have practiced with Jordan Sparks, Stephen Lang, Alicia Keys, Jennifer Garner. Do they have something we don't? Do they have something that you bring out in teaching where you see, aha, there's the star formula, there's the star pattern, that's why they are where they are?
That's a good question. No, we are all human beings. We all have the same thing. We breathe the same air, we bleed the same blood. They just got lucky, or they have this little talent. We all have our own talents, and we have to find them, right?
And that's the invitation for all of us to dive more into ourselves and into our little things and nooks and crannies. Jade, you were so kind to bring a little exercise, a little practice, a little part of your journey that you're offering to Remote Daily today. And I hope you all have pen and paper ready. And Jade, I'll just, you know, I'll just give you some applause for now for sharing your journey before we go into the practice mode, and then pass off the mic to you for the next 10 minutes.
Awesome, thank you so much. So as I introduce this exercise, I want to share with you a reading from one of the yoga texts. This text is one of the books I use in my course. It's the Yoga Sutras. It's basically tidbits of information, rules to live by that each and every one of us can relate to. So this is one of my favorite. When disturbed by negative thoughts, opposite positive ones should be thought of. This is how we can change the mind. Patanjali, the author, gives us a very nice clue on how to control the mind and obstruct those thoughts we don't want. The best way, he says, is to invite opposite thoughts. If the thought of hatred is in the mind, we can try to bring the thought of love. If we cannot do that, we can at least go to the people we love and in their presence forget the hatred. So although the hatred comes to the surface, we can keep it from coming out or staying long by changing the environment, okay? It's a little food for thought. Now, what I would all like you to do, everybody has paper and pen handy, right? I'm going to ask you to write down 6 different things. The first 3 things, I'll give you about a minute or so to write them down. I want you to write down 3 negative things that happened to you in the last 2 to 3 days. It could be you lost something, it's negative or just bad, not so great. Maybe you lost something, maybe you got lost, maybe you had an argument or a fight with someone, In the last 2 to 3 days, write down 3 different incidents of something not so great that happened to you. You have about a minute or so. Okay, so now the next 3 things you're going to write down. The next 3 things, I want you to look back in the last 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 years. You can go beyond that if you want. Look back in your past and just write down 3 bad things that happened, okay? Maybe you had a really bad surgery, you had a really bad fall, maybe you lost a family member, a friend, or anything bad or not so great. Just write these 3 things down. Okay, hopefully you've written down now 6 things. Okay, so in a moment, I'm going to have you go back to the list. I'm pretty sure you all know where I'm going at this point, right? And I want you to look at the list and write down the positive in each of those things. Now, sometimes it gets tricky, and if you get stuck, you're welcome to put something in the chat if you want, if it's not too personal, or you can shoot me a note after. I'm happy to help you find the positive. But remember, right, if it's difficult to find the positive, you need to think outside of the box, right? How did it make you stronger? Did it make you change your behavior or pattern in a way that actually needed to happen? Start to think outside of the box when you're struggling to see the positive. You go ahead and we'll take about a minute or so to try and work through the list. If you get stuck on one thing, just go to the next. Okay, so if you haven't finished, that's okay. You can finish later today, right? There are many hours in the day. You can come back to the exercise. So it's also just reading through the chat, and one question. Somebody asked, how do you build trust that the positive will come up? And that's exactly it. You have to build the trust. And you build that by practicing it every day as much as you can, right? How do you know that by brushing your teeth that you will prevent cavities, right? Because we do it every day and we see that we don't have cavities, right? So how do you know that if you exercise, you go run and you lift weights, that you're going to stay lean and healthy, right? After the first or second workout, you don't necessarily see it, but you build that faith, right? By doing the exercises and seeing the results. So you know what? Believe in the journey, trust the journey that you're on, and just look for the good. And over time, you'll start to see it coming up and up, and then you can just trust it. So it's not easy to trust things in the beginning, but you can build that trust by practicing daily negatives to positives. So I don't know if anyone else has any other questions or anything else popped up. Felix, feel free to jump in and let me know. Somebody asked for the book. The book is the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. I'll put it in the chat from whoever asked that. And I actually want to share with you all one of my other favorite readings from the book, because it also helps the mind be positive. Okay, because sometimes we deal with different types of people, and sometimes it's hard to be positive when we are dealing with that not great person, right? How are you positive when you hit that negative personality? By cultivating attitudes of friendliness towards the happy, compassion for the unhappy, delight in the virtuous, and disregard toward the wicked, the mind stuff retains its undisturbed calmness, right? So those are the 4 kind of people we essentially run into: the happy, the unhappy, the virtuous, and the wicked. And we can meet them with friendliness, compassion, delight, and disregard to try and maintain our peace and positivity. So if there are any other questions, feel free to ask. And I will certainly put the book in the chat now.
Thank you so much, Jade Alexis, for these minutes of reflection and practice. What you do every day and maybe every minute now, we have now gotten a glimpse of. And the book is already being shared in the chat, including quotes. So I invite you all to dive deeper into that. And I'm also going to share again Jade's links here. Thank you, Britt, for putting them together. The link tree and of course the yoga sessions. And so you can all be part of it and part of the journey that Jade has put together, the 21 days journey, Discover Your Truest, Strongest Self. If you are looking for something more, digital and steady, you can also incorporate Jade in your life, which is actually amazing, through Spotify. You can just kind of like Spotify, Google Jade's name, and you will see the meditations that Jade is offering on Spotify up there. I think, Jade, you're also working with other meditation apps, and there are other offerings from you out there. Would you mind sharing those with us, please?
Absolutely, thank you. So pretty much anywhere you listen to music, whether you're on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, wherever you are, whatever you use, I do have a 5-minute daily gratitude meditation, right? Gratitude practice is great. When we practice gratitude, the mind is content. When the mind is content, we have peace in the heart. So I have that and some sleep meditations. But I also do meditations for a company named Active. It's AAPTIV, Active, as well as if you're an Equinox member, they have the Varus app. I teach yoga classes on there, but my yoga classes have a lot of mind strength stuff intertwined. Amazon's Audible, I have a Sleep Better program on there. If you're with Amazon, you can find I think it's called a 7-day Sleep Better program. Those are the platforms I'm currently on. An Insight Timer, I have a couple short yoga classes on there.
Wonderful, thank you. And I can only say the last question I have for you before we go into our final song, actually 2 questions. One is, when is Yoga World coming back to life again? When is in-person teaching going to be a thing again? What do you think?
Well, I think that the yoga world has forever changed. I think that a lot of it will continue to be online, right? I don't know. Places are teaching outside. I'm teaching outside in New Jersey once a week. I'm suspicious that we're going to have a second wave before we can have in-person indoor classes again. Just the limitations are so tight, right? Here in New Jersey, you can have the distance, the amount of people in the room for inside, it doesn't even make sense for a facility to offer the class. So it might be a while, but that's okay. That gives us all time to practice our home practice, which is good to have, right? A home practice.
And thank you, Jade. And before I ask you the very last question, I would like to give the mic back to Deborah, who brought you here today. Deborah.
I just wanted to say that I didn't start yoga practice at all until I met Jade in the spin room, and she was becoming a yoga instructor, and I didn't even like yoga, and she convinced me to try it. And what she taught me is that it's not about being good, it's about a practice and about getting better. And I am not good at it. I'm just being honest. Like, I'm better than I was when I started, but I'm not in any way flexible or great at yoga. But it has really been an amazing thing for me in my life. And I give Jade all of that credit, and I do join her online as much as I can, especially on Tuesday nights. And she's amazing. So if anybody is afraid to try it or is nervous and has never done yoga or thinks you're not flexible, when you meet me in person, you'll see that I am not a natural yogi. So please give it a try. She's amazing, and I want to thank her for everything she's given me.
You're so
Thank you,
welcome,
Deborah.
Deborah. Thank you. Thank you for trusting me.
Thank you so very much. Jade, the last word is on you. What is maybe one thing you hope for us to take away from today? Final piece of advice, I hope for the weekend, whatever it is.
Well, thank you for having me here today. It was my honor and my pleasure to meet you all and spend this time with you all. And just be positive, right? Be positive. First thing you wake up tomorrow morning, I challenge you all to find the sun, whether you see it rise or you see it already risen. Just find the sun, right? And identify one gift that you've received tomorrow as the sun rises. Identify one gift the sun has given you, right? And see the beauty in the sun, because that's where one of the places it all begins. We get our energy from the sun, and that can be the start of your positive and your beautiful mind.